In the soft morning mist of Buckingham Palace, where tradition stands as resolute as the ancient stones, an American officer's demand for a salute ignited a confrontation that would redefine respect. Lieutenant Colonel Gregory Sterling, a battle-hardened Marine, challenged the stoic Royal Guard, expecting submission. Instead, Sergeant Alistair Finch's disciplined response, not with words, but with unwavering duty, silenced the officer and left the crowd in awe. This is the story of a clash between pride and principle, where one guard's quiet strength taught a lesson in humility, weaving an emotional tapestry of honor, sacrifice, and the enduring power of tradition. The morning mist clung to the grounds of Buckingham Palace, softening the edges of its storied facade. Tourists buzzed with excitement, their cameras flashing at the scarlet-clad royal guards, whose stillness was as iconic as the palace itself. Amid the hum of voices, a convoy of black cars rolled through the gates, their NATO flags announcing the arrival of an American military delegation for a leadership summit. The air was alive with anticipation, the palace a stage for diplomacy and tradition. Lieutenant Colonel Gregory Sterling stepped from his car, his Marine Corps uniform pristine, medals glinting from conflicts in Baghdad and Helmand. At 45, Sterling was a man of command, his career forged in war zones, his demeanor sharp with authority. His eyes scanned the palace grounds with a mix of impatience and disdain. All this pomp for a meeting, he muttered to Major Peterson, his aide. We could have done this at the Pentagon without the theatrics. Peterson nodded non-committally, his gaze drawn to a royal guard standing nearby. A figure of disciplined perfection, Sergeant Alistair Finch, 32, stood at his post, his red tunic vibrant against the gray stone, his bearskin cap adding stature. His eyes, fixed in a 1,000-yard stare, betrayed nothing of the man beneath. A combat veteran with 4 tours, including a classified mission where his courage under fire earned him the Military Cross. Finch's discipline, honed in battle and ceremony, was unyielding, a testament to the Guard's dual role as soldiers and symbols. Sterling's gaze lingered on him, a skeptical smirk curling his lip. Look at that, he said, a statue in a fancy hat. What's the battlefield value of standing still? As the delegation followed their guide, David Atkinson, through the gardens, Sterling's attention kept drifting to the guards. Atkinson's spiel about historic roses was cut short when Sterling spoke, his voice loud. These guards, they're just for tourists, right? Like mannequins in red coats. Colonel Davis, the senior American officer, frowned. They're active soldiers. Gregory, they rotate between ceremony and combat. Sterling's eyebrow arched, seems a waste. In the Marines, we train for action, not posing. Across the grounds, Captain James Edwards, Finch's commander, watched the exchange with a keen eye. 7 years leading the Guard had sharpened his instinct for trouble. He knew Finch's record, his unflappable calm in Afghanistan, his commendations from American Special Forces. Finch was no mere ceremonial figure. He was a warrior chosen for today's duty, precisely for his restraint. Edwards sensed Sterling's provocation brewing, a storm about to break. Sterling seized his moment during a pause in the tour. Slipping away as the group photographed the palace's western facade, he strode toward Finch's post, his boots deliberate on the grass. Standing inches from the guard, he blocked Finch's line of sight. A deliberate challenge. Impressive discipline, Sterling said, his tone dripping with sarcasm. But what's the tactical advantage of ignoring a threat? Tourists nearby paused, sensing the tension. Sterling circled Finch, inspecting him like a recruit. In the Marines, we react. We don't hide behind ceremony. Major Peterson, noticing Sterling's absence, hurried over. Lieutenant Colonel, the group's moving on. Sterling waved him off. Just having a professional chat with our friend here. His eyes locked onto Finch's, mistaking the guard's silence for weakness. We'll talk more, Sergeant, he said, misreading Finch's rank. I'm curious how this pageant prepares you for war. Midway through the tour, Sterling broke away again, this time with brazen intent. Colonel Davis's shout, Lieutenant Colonel Sterling, went unheeded. A crowd swelled near Finch's post, drawn by the spectacle. Sterling planted himself before the guard, his voice booming. Ladies and gentlemen, witness a contrast in military philosophy. The British prioritize ceremony over combat readiness. He gestured at Finch. In my 22 years, leading men in Baghdad, Fallujah, Helmand, success came from adaptability, not standing like a statue. An elderly British veteran, his blazer adorned with medals, stepped forward. You're out of line, young man. These guards have fought where you have. Their discipline isn't weakness. Sterling turned, unfazed, with respect. Sir, a soldier trained to stand still isn't learning tactical flexibility. He stepped closer to Finch, crossing the invisible line of respect. American Marines acknowledge superiors. We don't hide behind rules. A gasp rippled through the crowd as Sterling's hand grazed Finch's tunic. A violation of palace protocol. Wool, he scoffed, touching the fabric. Useless in combat. The crowd tensed as Sterling's fingers brushed Finch's rifle barrel. Is this for show, or does it work? Murmurs grew. Touching a guard was forbidden. A rule posted clearly. Palace security edged closer, wary of the officer's rank. Sterling stood squarely in Finch's view. A third breach. Marines react. Sergeant, we salute superiors. Adopting a formal stance. He barked, I am Lieutenant Colonel Gregory Sterling, United States Marine Corps. By NATO protocol, junior officers salute superiors. This is a direct order. Salute me now. The command hung like a thunderclap. The crowd frozen. Finch remained still, his discipline a wall against Sterling's provocation. Then, with surgical precision, his gloved hand moved, gently but firmly, pushing Sterling's fingers from his rifle. Sir, Finch said, his voice clear, steady, the cadence of British training. You are violating Standing Order 157, prohibiting contact with the Queen's Guard or their equipment. This is a Category B security breach. Sterling's confident mask faltered, shock flickering in his eyes. Finch's gaze met his, unwavering. While your rank commands respect within NATO, palace protocol supersedes. The Queen's Guard answers to the Crown, not external chains of command. Standing Order 157 mandates we maintain position, regardless of visiting officer's rank. My duty is to the sovereign, sir, and it includes upholding these rules. His tone was respectful but resolute. I must ask you to return to the viewing area and refrain from touching the guard. Captain Edwards approached, his presence cutting the tension. Lieutenant Colonel, I'm Captain James Edwards, Guard Commander. There seems to be a misunderstanding of palace protocol. Sterling, regaining composure, snapped, your guard broke position to lecture me. Edwards was calm. Sergeant Finch acted per Standing Order 157, Paragraph 3, allowing minimal response to physical contact or security threats. His duty here answers to the Crown. Overriding NATO command for visiting officers, Sterling's jaw tightened. In 30 years, I've never seen a junior officer defy a superior's order. Edwards clarified. Finch didn't defy. He followed his primary orders, which prioritized the Crown on palace grounds. The elderly veteran, now speaking to tourists, added, these guards are combat soldiers. Finch served with distinction in Afghanistan, alongside your forces. Colonel Davis, having caught up, intervened. Lieutenant Colonel, rejoin the delegation now. Sterling muttered, this theatrical nonsense. Red targets calling it discipline. Davis's voice was steel. You've caused a diplomatic incident on a goodwill visit. As the group moved on, Sterling's isolation grew, his colleagues distancing themselves. Finch resumed his post, his calm unshaken, a beacon of duty amidst the storm. The delegation's tour ended, and as their cars passed Finch's post, Davis and others nodded respectfully. Excluding Sterling, they're soldiers, not statues, Sterling said defensively. An American general replied, Finch handled your challenge decisively, within rules. That's adaptability. Sterling stared out the window, unconvinced, his reflection a portrait of pride unyielding. But the story doesn't end at the palace gates. The confrontation, captured by a tourist's phone, spread online. The clip titled Royal Guard School's Arrogant Officer. It sparked global debate about respect, tradition, and military culture, Sterling's actions drew criticism, but some defended his perspective, arguing NATO protocol deserved precedence. The British press lauded Finch, uncovering his military cross for a mission where he'd saved lives under fire, details declassified for the story. Finch, back in barracks, remained stoic. Though his comrades teased him gently about the American incident, Captain Edwards, in a rare moment, praised him privately. "You upheld the guard's honor, Alistair. Well done." Finch nodded, his thoughts on the elderly veteran's words, a reminder of the brotherhood he served. His next tour, months later, took him to a NATO exercise where American soldiers, aware of the story, approached him with respect. One, saying, "Heard you put a colonel in his place." Legend. Sterling faced consequences. Colonel Davis, in a report to NATO, noted his conduct as undiplomatic, stalling his promotion. At a Marine Corps dinner, peers ribbed him about the palace fiasco, but Sterling doubled down, insisting he'd exposed outdated traditions. Yet, in private, he read about Finch's record, the military cross, the lives saved. A seed of doubt took root, though pride kept it buried. Years later, at a NATO conference, Sterling met Edwards. "Now a major, your man Finch," Sterling said, pausing. He was right to hold his ground. It was the closest he'd come to contrition. The elderly veteran, Colonel Henry Tate, became a local hero. His interview about the Guard's valor airing on BBC. He visited Finch's unit, sharing stories of his own tours, forging a bond with a younger soldier. Tate's grandson, inspired, enlisted, citing Finch's stand as his reason. The tourist who filmed the encounter, a Canadian student named Mia, wrote an essay on cross-cultural respect, earning a scholarship. Her video, now a teaching tool in military academies, underscored the Guard's dual role. The palace, ever stoic, absorbed the incident into its history. Tour guides added it to their anecdotes, framing it as a lesson in the Guard's resolve. A plaque, discreetly placed, honored Finch's service, though he never sought recognition. His military cross, displayed at a regimental museum, drew visitors who left notes of gratitude. One from an American veteran, "You showed us what duty means." For Finch, the moment was a pivot. He married his childhood sweetheart, naming their son Henry after Tate. At his promotion to lieutenant, he spoke of the palace incident, not as pride, but as a reminder. Duty isn't just following orders. It's knowing why they matter. His career blended combat and ceremony, each reinforcing the other. His discipline, a bridge between worlds. The story rippled outward, touching lives. A British schoolgirl, moved by Finch's calm, pursued a career in diplomacy, citing his restraint as her model. An American Marine, inspired by the clip, trained harder in ceremonial drill, seeing its value in focus. Across NATO, the incident prompted talks on respecting Allied protocols, strengthening cooperation. In quiet pubs, veterans toasted Finch, their glasses raised to the Guard who stood firm. This story, sparked by an emotional clash of pride and duty, challenges us to reflect. When have we demanded respect without earning it? When have we mistaken discipline for weakness? The Royal Guard, rooted in centuries, reminds us that true respect is not commanded. It's forged in service, sacrifice, and understanding. What would you have done in Finch's place? Could you have held your ground, balancing duty and defiance? Share your thoughts. For every uniform carries a legacy, every stand a lesson, and every moment a chance to honor what endures.